So tonight's homework is going to be about learning how to brainstorm and plan for writing an essay. These are very valuable parts for the writing process, and these will be used as we get ready to use the research we're doing right now currently for the career project and taking all of that information and writing an essay. So let's get started. Remember, anytime you see the pencil, I want you to take some notes. So before you begin an essay, it's important that you read and analyze the prompt, that you stop and think about what the prompt is actually asking you to do. It's also really important that you try to brainstorm. After you brainstorm, it's important that you pick and choose from that brainstorm what you actually have enough information about to work into your essay. So there are things that maybe during your brainstorm you might not want to include because you simply don't have enough information. So that's where you're going to pick and choose what you're actually going to use. You also need to start planning it out. What is the best order to start talking? And in this instance, since we're talking a lot about how we're going to plan for our future, it really wouldn't make sense to start talking about college before you start talking about what you need to do during high school, and then go beyond that. So you really do need to pick and choose from your brainstorm and then plan out the most logical order in which to tell your essay. Think about your thesis sentence as well as we move into writing about essays or using essays, going from a paragraph to a full essay. We're moving from a topic sentence to a thesis sentence. This is a much more complex sentence as it's going to be talking about what you're doing for your entire essay instead of just your paragraph. And then finally, you begin your rough draft. So it's really important that we go through this whole process and really think before we start writing. I've said this before in class. It's really important that instead of sitting in front of a blank white computer screen, or in this case, iPad screen, you actually have a plan of what you're about to do. So when we brainstorm and then pick and choose, what does that look like? In class, you're going to be given time to play around with the app Poplet to try and organize your thoughts. Some of you have already used this app when we did the letter to teacher on one of the very first days of school. This is a great, fun little app to help you organize your thoughts. So your info from your career research project is what you're going to be writing your essay about. So you're going to plan and organize and brainstorm based on all of the information that you're finding in the next week or so on what you would like to do with your life. So once you've brainstormed, you should go through and pick and choose what main ideas you're actually going to want to write about. You could write about the career interest survey that we're taking very first, and when you find out all these things that you're actually very interested in. But then you also could write about some of the most important pieces that you need to do in your high school career. And then maybe you have found some really interesting information on a college in-state or maybe even a college out-of-state. You could do a paragraph for each of those things, but then you're running into not only a 5-paragraph essay, but a 6-paragraph essay. So you kind of have to, again, pick and choose what is the most important. Maybe you don't think writing a whole paragraph about the interest survey is that important. So you're going to pick and choose some of the other things. This is up to you, and this is what's going to make your own essay specific to you. So when you brainstorm, you're going to come up with all of these different ideas. So let's say that I'm writing a brainstorm about explaining the Olympics. That's what this whole thing is about here. So let's say that I'm brainstorming all the information that I've researched and found out about the Olympics, and I've got information on the history of the Olympics, the cities that have hosted the Olympics, what kinds of competitions there are, the TV programming that's involved with the Olympics. I've learned a little bit about the swimming in the Olympics. But as I start brainstorming, I see that while I think I could have a bit of information on TV programming and swimming, I actually really don't have that much research that supports it. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and pick and choose competition, history, host cities, because I have a lot of details on those main ideas. This is a very important part of the process. As you take a look at all the information that you have when you're going through this brainstorm process, pick only the things that you actually have some good details on that you can expand on. Now, once you get to the plan, it's important that you use this easy way well, I think it's easy. I guess it kind of depends on what your own personal style is. For me, I usually tend to do like an outline, but it's also really easy to do a Tchart, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this in class once we get closer to the writing process. You need to pick what's going to work for you. One of the things to remember is to increase the quantity and quality of your supporting details. So just like I was talking about in the brainstorming, while I thought I could write a paragraph about swimming and TV programming, it turns out I didn't really have a good amount or quality of supporting details for those two things, so I'm going to leave them out. I'm only going to focus on those things that I have some good information for. And then it's also important to think about any relevant facts. Definitions, concrete details, quotations if at all possible. Some of you that are looking at going to a college, for instance, it's really important that you know the required or average GPA of incoming freshmen and possibly even the admission rate. How many people are actually allowed to come to that school for those who apply? I mean, if you're looking at a school that only has a 50% admission rate, that means 1 out of every 2 people is actually accepted. It means you're going to have to work pretty hard to get accepted. And if it's below 50%, that's even more challenging and difficult. Those are important facts and details that I think are needed in an essay like this. So really think about that and include those within your plan. So here is an example Tchart. I think these are nice and easy, but you could also use like an outline. So again, going back to this kind of make-believe idea that I'm going to write an essay on the Olympic Games. So you'll see that I've got my main ideas off to the side of the Tchart, and I've decided that I'm going to focus on competition, host cities, and the history of the Olympic Games. And then you also see that I've got supporting details, and then I've got facts and quotes that are going to back those up. So this is an example of a Tchart. You could also work in an outline. It just depends on what works for you. I think in class I'll probably show you how to do both styles, and I'll work with you on that. So if you feel like you need help with this process, please see me before you begin your rough draft and we can work through it together. So again, I just explained that, so I'll just move on. All right, so the prompt for your career project essay. You're going to write an essay that explains your career path, what you will need to do in high school and beyond to prepare for that goal. And again, it doesn't matter, as I've said in class, it doesn't matter if you think you're going to go to college or if you don't think that's the route that you want to go. Maybe you want to go into the military. Maybe you would like to maybe train to work as an auto mechanic, or maybe you want to go into cosmetics. Regardless, there are certain things you're going to need to do to be prepared for that goal. And everybody's going to need to try and finish high school. So what do we need to do to prepare for that? This is your prompt. Really think about it, analyze it, think about all the research we will be doing throughout this week and what will help you write an essay to explain this particular prompt. It probably might be a good idea, too, to write this down in your notes. Okay, so that's it for today. Please don't forget to do the digital whisk, the blue part right below this video, and we will talk more about this as we get closer to writing the essay. Thanks, guys.